Have you ever opened your refrigerator, spotted last night's leftovers, and thought, I'll just warm this up for lunch? If so, you're not alone. In fact, millions of older adults do exactly that every single day. It's convenient, it saves money, and it helps reduce food waste. On the surface, it seems like one of the healthiest habits you can have. But here's something many people don't realize. The biggest kitchen mistake isn't always what you eat. Sometimes it's how you store it, how long you keep it, and how you reheat it. And that small detail could make a bigger difference than you think. Now, this isn't about throwing away perfectly good food or becoming afraid of leftovers. Far from it. Leftovers can absolutely be part of a healthy diet. The key is knowing which everyday habits help keep food both nutritious and safe, and which habits deserve a second look. As we get older, our bodies naturally become a little more sensitive. Our immune systems don't always respond as quickly as they once did. Recovery from foodborne illness may take longer. Even digestion can change over time. That means kitchen habits that never seemed to matter in our 30s or 40s may become much more important after 60. The surprising part is that many of these habits have been passed down through families for generations. You've probably seen them at holiday dinners, neighborhood potlucks, church gatherings, or family barbecues. Maybe you've even practiced them yourself without giving them a second thought. I know many people who proudly say, I've been doing it this way for 40 years, and nothing has ever happened. And sometimes that's true. But good luck in the past doesn't always mean a habit is the safest choice today. The good news is that protecting your health doesn't require expensive gadgets, complicated cooking techniques, or a complete makeover of your kitchen. Often, it's the simplest changes that make the biggest difference. Today, we're going to uncover one of the most common kitchen mistakes older adults make without realizing it, explore why it matters more as we age, and share practical, everyday tips that can help you enjoy your meals with greater confidence. You may discover that one small adjustment in your daily routine could help protect both the quality of your food and your peace of mind. One of the reasons this kitchen mistake is so common is because it doesn't feel like a mistake. After all, saving leftovers is smart. It saves time on busy days, it stretches your grocery budget, and it means you don't have to cook every single meal from scratch. In fact, many nutrition experts encourage meal planning because it can make healthy eating much easier. So, where do things sometimes go wrong? The answer usually isn't the food itself. It's what happens after the meal is over. Picture a typical evening. You finish dinner with your family. Everyone sits around the table talking for a while. Maybe you watch the evening news. Perhaps you answer a phone call from a friend or help clean the kitchen little by little. Before you know it, 2 or 3 hours have passed. Only then do the leftovers finally make their way into the refrigerator. Many people don't realize that this seemingly harmless delay can matter. Perishable foods like cooked meat, poultry, seafood, eggs, rice, pasta, soups, and casseroles are best refrigerated promptly after serving. Letting them sit out at room temperature for too long can allow bacteria to multiply, even if the food still looks and smells perfectly normal. And here's what catches many people off guard. You can't always see, smell, or taste when food has become unsafe. If milk has gone sour, you'll probably notice. But many harmful bacteria don't change the appearance, smell, or flavor of food at all. That's why relying on your senses alone isn't always enough. Another common habit is assuming that reheating food makes everything safe again. Many of us grew up believing that if leftovers are heated until they're steaming hot, any problem disappears. While reheating food thoroughly is important, it doesn't reverse every issue that can develop if food has been stored improperly or left out for too long. That's why safe storage is just as important as proper reheating. Now, this doesn't mean you should stop enjoying leftovers. Quite the opposite. Leftovers can be one of the easiest ways to eat nutritious home-cooked meals throughout the week. The key is handling them wisely from the very beginning. Here's where many older adults make another innocent mistake. They place a large hot pot of soup or chili directly into the refrigerator and assume everything will cool evenly. The reality is that very large containers can cool slowly in the center. A simple solution is to divide large amounts of food into smaller, shallow containers before refrigerating them. This helps the food cool more quickly and evenly, making it easier to store safely. It only takes a few extra minutes, but it's one of those small habits that can make a meaningful difference. Another overlooked habit is forgetting when the leftovers were made. Have you ever opened your refrigerator and found a container in the back? You recognize it. You remember cooking it, but you can't quite remember which day. Was it Monday, Wednesday, maybe last weekend? Most of us have experienced that moment. Instead of guessing, consider placing a simple piece of masking tape on the container with the date you stored it. It's a tiny habit that removes the uncertainty. Many people are surprised by how helpful this becomes, especially when preparing several meals at once. Now, let's talk about something that often happens without anyone noticing: the refrigerator itself. When was the last time you checked its temperature? Many people assume that if food feels cold, the refrigerator must be working perfectly. But refrigerators can gradually warm over time without obvious signs. Keeping your refrigerator at a safe temperature helps slow bacterial growth and supports the freshness of your food. An inexpensive refrigerator thermometer can provide reassurance that everything is staying within the recommended range. Here's another misconception that deserves attention. Some people believe that because they've never gotten sick before, their food handling habits must be completely safe. The truth is, foodborne illness doesn't affect everyone the same way. Age, medications, and certain chronic health conditions can make older adults more vulnerable to serious illness from bacteria that might cause only mild symptoms or none at all in someone younger. That's why paying attention to safe food habits isn't about being overly cautious. It's about recognizing that your needs may change over time. The encouraging news is that protecting yourself doesn't require throwing away every leftover or becoming anxious every time you open the refrigerator. In many cases, it's simply a matter of building a few thoughtful routines, cooling food promptly, storing it properly, labeling it with the date, and keeping your refrigerator at a safe temperature. Small habits, simple habits, the kind that quietly support your health every single day. One of the biggest surprises about food safety is that some of the healthiest foods in your refrigerator can also require the most careful handling. Take cooked rice, for example. Many people prepare a large batch at the beginning of the week. It's convenient. It pairs well with vegetables, grilled chicken, beans, or fish. And it makes quick lunches easy. But rice is one of those foods that should be cooled and refrigerated promptly after cooking. If it's left sitting out for too long, bacteria that naturally exist in the environment can multiply. Reheating the rice later may not eliminate every risk if it wasn't handled safely from the start. The lesson isn't to stop eating rice. It's to treat it with the same care you'd give any other cooked food. The same idea applies to pasta. A pot of whole grain spaghetti can become several healthy meals during the week, but leaving it on the stove all evening before putting it away isn't the safest approach. Small habits make a big difference. Cool it, store it, refrigerate it promptly. Now here's something that catches many people completely off guard. The microwave isn't always heating your food evenly. Have you ever pulled a plate out of the microwave because the edges were almost too hot to touch? Then you took a bite from the center and realized it was still cool. That happens more often than people think. Microwaves don't always distribute heat evenly. Cold spots can remain, especially in thicker foods like casseroles, soups, mashed potatoes, and lasagna. One simple solution is to stir food halfway through reheating whenever possible. If the food can't be stirred, letting it stand for a minute or two after heating allows the temperature to become more even. It sounds like a small detail, but it's one of those little kitchen habits that experienced home cooks often use without even thinking about it. Another common misunderstanding involves reheating the same leftovers over and over again. Imagine making a large pot of vegetable soup. Each day you place the entire pot on the stove, heat all of it, serve one bowl, and return the rest to the refrigerator. It feels convenient, but repeatedly warming and cooling the same food isn't the best practice. Instead, consider removing only the portion you plan to eat. Leave the remaining soup chilled in the refrigerator until you're ready for another serving. This keeps the rest of the food at a more consistent temperature and reduces unnecessary warming and cooling cycles. Here's another habit that many families have followed for generations: thawing frozen food on the kitchen counter. Perhaps you've taken a package of chicken or ground beef out of the freezer in the morning and left it on the counter until dinner. It seems harmless because the inside is still frozen for a while, but the outer surface begins warming long before the center has thawed. A safer approach is to thaw food in the refrigerator, in cold water that's changed regularly, or by using the microwave if you'll cook it immediately afterward. It may require a little more planning, but planning ahead is often easier than dealing with an upset stomach or a ruined meal. Now, let's talk about one mistake that has nothing to do with cooking. Cross-contamination. This simply means allowing germs from one food to spread to another. Picture yourself slicing raw chicken on a cutting board. You rinse the board quickly, then you chop fresh tomatoes for a salad on the same surface. It looks clean, but harmful bacteria can remain if the board, knife, or your hands haven't been washed thoroughly with hot, soapy water. One of the easiest ways to reduce this risk is to keep separate cutting boards when possible, one for raw meat and another for fruits, vegetables, and ready-to-eat foods. It's a simple habit that professional kitchens have practiced for years. Another helpful reminder is to wash your hands before preparing food, after handling raw meat, after touching pets, after gardening, or any time they may have picked up germs. It takes about 20 seconds, yet it's one of the most effective ways to protect yourself and those you love. The encouraging news is that none of these habits are difficult. They don't require expensive appliances. They don't require complicated recipes. They're simply thoughtful routines that become second nature with practice. And over time, these ordinary routines can help make every meal not only enjoyable, but also safer for you and the people gathered around your table. One of the most encouraging things about healthy kitchen habits is that they don't require a complete overhaul of your lifestyle. In fact, the safest kitchens often aren't the fanciest ones. They're simply the ones where a few good habits have become routine. Let's start with one habit that many people overlook. Plan your leftovers before you even sit down to eat. That may sound unusual at first, but think about it. When dinner's over, everyone is talking, clearing plates, or relaxing in front of the television. By then, it's easy to forget about the food still sitting on the stove. Instead, before you begin your meal, decide what you'll save. Keep a few clean storage containers ready. When dinner is finished, portion the leftovers while everything is still fresh. It only takes a few minutes and it removes the temptation to let food sit out much longer than intended. Another simple habit is to avoid overfilling your refrigerator. Many families like to stock up during grocery sales, especially on weekends. There's nothing wrong with that. But when a refrigerator is packed from top to bottom, cold air can't circulate as easily. Food may not cool as evenly as you expect. Try leaving a little space between containers whenever possible. Your refrigerator works best when air can move freely around the food. Now, here's a tip that surprises many people. Use your freezer more often. Some people think freezing food somehow makes it less healthy. In reality, freezing is an excellent way to preserve many cooked meals when done properly. If you know you won't eat leftovers within the next few days, consider freezing individual portions instead of leaving everything in the refrigerator. Future, you will probably appreciate having a healthy homemade meal ready on a busy day. Simply remember to label the container with both the contents and the date. That way, you won't have to play the familiar guessing game months later. Speaking of labels, here's another helpful trick. Practice first in, first out. Professional kitchens use this system every day. The idea is simple. Foods that have been in the refrigerator the longest should generally be used before newer items. When you unpack groceries or prepare a new meal, place the newer containers behind the older ones. It's a small organizational habit, but it helps reduce forgotten leftovers hiding in the back of the refrigerator. Let's also talk about something that has become increasingly popular: meal prepping. Meal preparation can be one of the healthiest habits for older adults. Having balanced meals ready to go makes it much easier to choose nutritious options instead of grabbing highly processed convenience foods. The key is preparing reasonable portions and storing them correctly. Meals that include lean protein, colorful vegetables, whole grains, and healthy fats can provide satisfying options throughout the week when handled safely. Now, here's where many people make an honest mistake. They focus only on food safety, but forget about food quality. Every time you reheat a meal, ask yourself one simple question: will this still taste good? Sometimes the healthiest choice isn't just about safety. It's about enjoyment. Fresh herbs added after reheating, a squeeze of lemon, a handful of chopped vegetables, or a side salad can make yesterday's dinner feel like a completely new meal. Healthy eating becomes much easier when meals are both nourishing and enjoyable. Another habit worth building is paying attention to expiration dates, but understanding what they actually mean. Many packaged foods carry dates that relate to peak quality rather than food safety. At the same time, perishable foods should never be kept indefinitely simply because they still look fine. When you're unsure about a particular food, following reliable food safety guidance is much safer than guessing. And perhaps the most valuable kitchen habit of all is this: slow down. We often rush through cooking because we're hungry. We rush through cleanup because we're tired. We rush through grocery shopping because we have somewhere else to be. But taking just an extra minute to store leftovers properly, wash your hands, clean a cutting board, or check a refrigerator container can become one of the simplest ways to care for your future self. Healthy aging isn't built on dramatic decisions. It's built on hundreds of ordinary choices repeated over time. Choosing fresh ingredients, preparing balanced meals, storing food thoughtfully, keeping your kitchen organized, being mindful instead of hurried. None of these habits are complicated. Yet together, they create a kitchen that's not only efficient, but also supports your health, your independence, and your confidence every time you prepare a meal. Because in the end, the goal isn't to make cooking more stressful. It's to make healthy eating safer, easier, and something you can continue enjoying for many years to come. As we come to the end of today's conversation, I'd like to leave you with one reassuring thought. The kitchen should be one of the safest, most comforting places in your home. It's where family recipes are passed down, where grandchildren gather for cookies, where holiday meals become lifelong memories, and where many of the choices that support healthy aging begin. The encouraging news is that you don't have to be a professional chef to make your kitchen a healthier place. You simply need a few reliable habits. Cool leftovers promptly. Store them in clean, shallow containers. Keep your refrigerator at a safe temperature. Reheat food thoroughly and evenly. Avoid reheating the same leftovers over and over again. Wash your hands, cutting boards, and utensils carefully. And when you're unsure whether something is still good to eat, remember this simple saying: when in doubt, throw it out. It may feel wasteful in the moment, but your health is always worth more than the cost of replacing a meal. Many older adults grew up in a time when people hated wasting food. That value is still important. But protecting your health is just as important. Our bodies change with age. The immune system may not respond as quickly. Recovery from illness can take longer. And that's exactly why small kitchen habits deserve more attention than they often receive. The goal isn't to become worried every time you open your refrigerator. It's to become confident. Confident that you're preparing meals in a way that supports both nutrition and food safety. Confident that you're giving yourself and your loved ones the best chance to enjoy every meal without unnecessary risk. And remember something else that's easy to forget. Healthy aging isn't built on one perfect meal. It's built on thousands of ordinary meals prepared with care. Every balanced breakfast, every homemade soup, every colorful salad, every dinner shared around the table. Those everyday moments matter far more than chasing the latest health trend or searching for a miracle food. One thoughtful choice repeated consistently will almost always have a greater impact than one dramatic change that lasts only a few days. So the next time you finish dinner, pause for just a moment. Ask yourself, have I stored these leftovers properly? Will I remember when I made this? Am I making it easy for my future self? Those simple questions take only seconds, yet they can become part of a healthier routine that serves you for years to come. If you already practice some of these habits, that's wonderful. Keep building on them. If today's video introduced one or two new ideas, try adding just one of them this week. Small improvements are easier to maintain, and over time they become second nature. Remember, healthy living isn't about being perfect. It's about making thoughtful choices more often than not. Before we finish, we'd love to hear from you. What's one kitchen habit you've followed for years that was passed down by your parents or grandparents? Share it in the comments below. Your experience may help or inspire someone else in our community. And if you enjoy practical, evidence-informed videos about healthy aging, natural nutrition, longevity, and everyday wellness, be sure to subscribe to NatureWise Health and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Take good care of yourself. Enjoy every meal with confidence. And remember that some of the most powerful steps toward a longer, healthier life begin with the simple choices you make in your own kitchen, one meal at a time.